Do you need to have the best numbers of all time just to look big? Well, that's the question I'll be addressing in this video. And I first want to discuss the term progressive overload, which you're all very familiar with. This is the act of gradually increasing your performance over time. Usually that's going to be a weight increase. For instance, if you're lifting 5-pound dumbbells now on a curl, well, if you raise it to 10 pounds, you're probably going to see improvements in your biceps. Then 15, 20, 25, next thing you know, you're doing 40 for 3 sets of 10, and you got some nice guns to go with it. That's a basic form of progressive overload. However, what people don't realize when we're discussing this term is that it's not only limited to increasing weight. That is the great misconception about progressive overload. Of course, common sense tells you that you should be increasing the weight. But if you look a bit deeper, you'll find there are other ways to get big. So let's say you can do 3 sets of 10 on the 95-pound strict press. Well, you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, I'm going to increase to 100 pounds, and if I get 8, that's good. Then I'll try to build with 10. Okay, that's one way to do it. Another way to do it is to switch from touch and go, strict press, to pause. That's simple. Right there, your reps are going to go from 10 to maybe like 6, realistically. And then you can build up again. Okay, once you can do that, what do? Increase the sets. Go for 4 sets of 10. Then 5 sets of 10. Maybe 4 sets of 12. 5 sets of 15. 5 by 20 with 95 pounds. You know how long it's going to take you to get there? From 3 by 10 with 95 pounds to 5 sets of 20? It's going to take a quite long time, and guess what? You will get bigger and stronger in the process. That is one example of progressive overload that people don't really discuss. You see, a better way to phrase this term is progression over time. It's less vague in a sense, and it's kind of clear in what we're trying to do here. We're trying to raise our performance. We're not trying to stay mediocre and be the same year in and year out. Simple thing like decreasing our rest intervals, for instance. That's progression. If you rested a minute between your sets and you got a 3 by 10, well, maybe drop the rest intervals to 30 seconds and then try getting it again. That's progression taking place, and you are going to get bigger and stronger for it. Another example could be cleaning up your form. Instead of arching your back like crazy on the bench press, having this crazy range of motion, well, maybe you can, just retract your scapula, but don't overdo the arch. Use a close grip, for instance, more range of motion. Do it better. So improving your form can also count as a form of progression. That's what guys have wrong. Also, the term heavy is subjective, because what's heavy for me might not be heavy for you, and vice versa. For example, if you give me 600 pounds on the rack pull above the knee, I can easily hit that 30 times or more. No problem. But for some people, that's going to be their 1 rep max. So I don't like to think of the term heavy as absolutes. I like instead to view things from the percentage standpoint, the percentage perspective, because it's more realistic. It gives us insight as to your own individual strength. Because depending on what strength sport you're competing in or who you're comparing yourself to, you might be weak or strong. Depends what you're trying to label yourself as. A guy like me, if I'm competing against drugged up powerlifters, I'm going to be a weak guy by comparison. So don't look at it in terms of absolutes. Look at it in terms of relative strength for you, okay? And that's going to be percentages. Percentages relative to your 1 rep max. And I define heavy, for the most part, anything above 85%. Now, do you need to go above 85% to build mass? No, you don't. It's certainly going to help you in building strength. And I think in the long term, it will benefit you more than if you didn't do it at all. I think that if you look at the old-time strongmen and the old-school bodybuilders, they did in fact have the commonality of being very strong guys. And I think that the heavy singles and the triples really helps to do that. So I'm not going to get rid of heavy training. To me, I think it's very, very important. But the term essential, okay, when you say something is necessary or essential or required, you're implying that there's no other way to gain mass without it. And to state that you would need to go above 85% is simply untrue. So yes, if you want to be Mr. Volume, you're going to build a great physique doing that. You don't have to be doing singles and triples. Singles and triples will take your strength to the next level, and it could probably increase your potential if you ask me, but it's not required, all right? So we need to specify what we're talking about here. And as I point out, there are many different ways to improve your progression. It could even be increasing range of motion. For example, instead of doing a regular deadlift for like 10 reps, you can bring it down to a 2-inch deficit. Try to get 10 reps on that, then a 4-inch deficit, then a 6-inch deficit. You know what I'm saying? Progressive range of motion, that works too. You see what I'm saying? There's many, many, many ways to get stronger here, okay? And progressive overload is not just limited to lifting heavier weights. And for bodybuilders, you can be creative, my friends. I would say, like, if you made the simple correction of doing 5 sets of 10 on all your exercises with low rest, 30 to 60 seconds, you'd find that your weights aren't going to be that heavy. Try doing that on the bench press. 225. Try 5 by 10 with 225. You can be benching the threes, but that can be a little bit challenging with the low rest. You're going to get a great chest pump. You're going to feel your arms working, your shoulders, everything. So no, you don't have to be powerlifter strong. That's what guys get wrong. That's where the bias kicks in. When I state on my channel that you must get stronger to get bigger, I'm talking about overall performance here. I'm talking about volume tolerance, workload, decreasing your rest intervals, changing to a harder variation. That's what it implies. It doesn't imply that you have to be doing 1 rep maxes every fucking day, that you got to do Bulgarian light. I don't even do Bulgarian light, you know what I'm saying? So you have to listen to what I'm talking about. When I say get strong to get big, it means focus on progression, whatever that may be. For me, I like to do heavy weights. I like singles, I like triples, but I also incorporate volume. And I find that for gaining mass, lowering your rest periods, doing higher reps with a lighter weight, making the form really clean and choosing hard variations works very good. And you can build a great physique without having to be powerlifter strong. That's a fact. And anyone who tells you otherwise, in my opinion, they're being very, very biased here. They're not telling you the truth. They're sharing it from one lens, the athletic lens, which is a great lens, which is a badass lens. I respect it. But it's not the only way to gain mass. In fact, there are many people who are doing calisthenics who have built great physiques because they're manipulating the volume and the intensity of certain movements so that they're gaining mass in the process. And a good example of that is 10 sets of 10 pull-ups with 30-second rest intervals. So don't disregard different forms of progression. Heavy weights are awesome. They're fantastic. I think when you do it correctly, it's going to take your physique to the next level. But it's not required. That's all I want to say. So I hope you enjoyed this segment. Give me your feedback down below. What type of training worked best for you in terms of gaining mass? I'm talking to all the bodybuilders now, or the recreational lifters who want to look good. What has worked best for you? I want to know. And with that said, I'll talk to you all next time.